Let me ask you something. What separates a man who quits from a man who doesn't? Is it physical strength? Talent? Genetics? No. The answer is far simpler and far more brutal than you think. Every year, hundreds of elite athletes, Ivy League graduates, and former college champions walk into the most grueling military training program ever designed by human beings. BUD/S, Basic Underwater Demolition/SEAL Training. 6 months of cold water, sleep deprivation, physical punishment, and psychological warfare. And nearly 80% of them quit, not because their bodies gave out, because their minds did. The men who make it, the ones who ring the bell on their own terms, the ones who earn the trident, they don't just have tougher bodies. They have a completely different operating system running in their heads. They think differently. They process pain differently. They relate to fear, failure, and the future differently than you and I do. And today, you're going to learn exactly how. These are not motivational platitudes. These are not gym poster quotes. What I'm about to share with you are the actual cognitive frameworks that U.S. Navy SEALs use to survive the unsurvivable, complete the impossible, and keep moving forward when every nerve in their body is screaming at them to stop. And the most powerful thing I can tell you right now is this. You can install these same frameworks into your own mind, starting today. Let's get into it. The first secret is what SEALs call the cookie jar. Former Navy SEAL and ultramarathon runner David Goggins popularized this concept, and it is one of the most practically powerful mental tools ever documented. Here's how it works. Most people, when they face a hard moment, reach into their mind and pull out their fears, their doubts, their past failures, the time they gave up, the time someone told them they weren't enough, and they use that as evidence for why they should stop right now. They weaponize their own history against themselves. SEALs do the exact opposite. The cookie jar is a mental archive, a vivid, detailed collection of every hard thing you've ever done, every obstacle you've overcome, every moment you thought you couldn't go on, but you did, every time life hit you in the face and you got back up anyway. You store those memories like cookies in a jar, and when the moment comes, when Hell Week is at hour 72 and you haven't slept, when the water is 42 degrees and your hands have stopped working, when the instructor is in your face telling you you're nothing, you reach into that jar and you pull one out. You remind yourself, I've been here before. I survived that. I can survive this. This is not positive thinking. This is evidence-based resilience. You're not telling yourself a comforting lie. You're reminding yourself of a documented truth. You have already proven, in real time, that you are harder than you think you are. The reason this works is neurological. When you recall a memory with emotional intensity, your brain activates many of the same neural pathways as when you originally lived that experience. You literally re-access the strength, the determination, the identity you had in that moment. You are not imagining being tough. You are remembering that you already are. Start building your cookie jar today. Not tomorrow. Today. Sit down and write out 10 moments in your life when you push through something hard. Doesn't matter the scale. A brutal workout you finished. A period of grief you survived. A job you didn't quit even when you wanted to. A relationship you held together when it was easier to walk away. Every single one of those goes in the jar. Because life will come for you. And when it does, you need ammunition. The second secret is the 40% rule. This one will permanently change the way you understand your own limits. SEALs operate under belief, backed by sports science and performance psychology, that when your mind tells you you're done, when your body is screaming, when every signal is telling you to stop, you're actually only at 40% of your true capacity. 40%. Your mind quits long before your body does. Think about that for a moment. Every time you stopped a workout because it was too hard, every time you've given up on a goal because it felt impossible, every time you walked away from a challenge because you hit a wall, you were, statistically, not even halfway to your actual limit. Your body had 60% more to give. You just never found out because your mind hit its comfort ceiling and pulled the emergency brake. The human brain evolved to protect you. Its primary directive is survival and energy conservation, not achievement. So when things get uncomfortable, when the physical sensation of exertion crosses a certain threshold, your brain interprets that as a threat, not as growth, and it triggers a withdrawal signal. It manufactures feelings of exhaustion, weakness, hopelessness, not because they're real, but because your brain wants you to stop. SEALs train themselves to recognize that signal not as a stop sign, but as a milestone marker. When that voice shows up, the one that says, I can't, I'm done, this is too much, they've learned to read it as confirmation that they've just hit 40%, which means they're not even close to finished. That voice is not weakness. That voice is the entrance to the real training. The practical application of this is simple, but requires commitment. The next time you want to quit something, don't. Not immediately. When the thought arrives, give yourself a rule. I will go 10% further before I even consider stopping. Just 10% more reps, 10 more minutes, 10 more pages, one more day, and then 10% more after that. You will be shocked, genuinely shocked, at what's on the other side of that first wall. Because there is no wall. There's only the ceiling your mind drew in pencil, and you can erase it any time you decide to. The third secret is embrace the suck. This phrase gets thrown around in military culture, but most people don't understand what it actually means on a psychological level. It's not about pretending things are fine when they're not. It's not toxic positivity or empty toughness. It is a radical cognitive reframe that changes your entire relationship with suffering. Here's the ordinary human response to discomfort: resistance. When something hurts, when something is hard, when life becomes difficult, the default human reaction is to fight against the experience, to resist it, to wish it were different, to spend mental energy arguing with reality. This shouldn't be happening. This isn't fair. I shouldn't have to deal with this. And here's the brutal truth. That resistance, that argument with reality, costs you more energy than the actual hardship itself. You're not just fighting the difficult thing. You're fighting your own mind's refusal to accept it. You are exhausting yourself twice. SEALs are trained to do something radically different. They are trained to accept the suck, to look at it directly and say, yes, this is terrible. Yes, this is painful. Yes, this is unfair. And I am going to move forward anyway, not despite the difficulty, through it, with it, as an acknowledged part of the experience. Psychologists call this radical acceptance. Viktor Frankl wrote about it from inside a Nazi concentration camp. The Stoic philosophers built entire philosophies around it, and Navy SEALs live it operationally because in combat in the water, in a collapsed building in the middle of a firefight, you do not have the luxury of arguing with circumstances. You have to operate within reality as it is, not as you wish it were. When you stop resisting difficulty and start accepting it as a known, expected cause of doing anything meaningful, something remarkable happens. Your suffering decreases, not because the hard thing gets easier, but because you've stopped adding the second layer of pain, the pain of not wanting it to be hard. You've eliminated resistance, and forward motion becomes possible again. This is the secret behind why SEALs can do what civilians cannot. It's not that they feel less. It's that they've stopped fighting what they feel. The fourth secret is compartmentalization under pressure. During Hell Week, a SEAL instructor famously gave a group of trainees a simple piece of advice that most of them said later was the reason they survived. He said, don't think about Thursday. Don't think about tomorrow morning. Don't think about the next evolution. Just get to the next meal. That is the entire philosophy in one sentence. The human mind, when confronted with overwhelming suffering or an enormous challenge, has a catastrophic tendency to do something called temporal projection. It takes the pain of the present moment and multiplies it across the entire anticipated future. Right now, at hour 6 of Hell Week, you are cold and exhausted, and your mind takes that feeling in this moment and projects it forward. I am going to feel this way for 5 more days. I cannot survive 5 more days of this. And that thought, not the cold, not the exhaustion, but the thought about the future, is what breaks people. SEALs are trained to ruthlessly collapse their time horizon. You do not think about the entire mission. You do not think about the rest of the week. You think about the next objective, the next hour, the next evolution, sometimes the next 5 minutes. This is not avoidance. This is not denial. It is a deliberate, disciplined mental technique for making the unbearable manageable. You are not conquering Hell Week. You are conquering the next meal, and then the meal after that, And if you keep conquering meals one at a time, eventually it's Thursday. And then it's done. You can apply this directly to your life right now. Think about the biggest challenge you're facing: your finances, your health, your career, your relationships. If you look at the full mountain, all of it, the whole climb, it can feel paralyzing. So don't look at the mountain. Look at the next step. Just one. Make the next phone call. Finish the next chapter. Do the next workout. Send the next email. Handle the next hour. You cannot eat a year in one bite, but you can eat one meal at a time every single day until you look up and realize you've lived a year. Break it down. Go small. When the moment, the rest takes care of itself. The fifth and final secret is the one that ties everything together. SEALs call it responsibility. Not responsibility in the way you use the word in everyday life. Responsibility, the ability to choose your response. Between any event and your reaction to that event, there is a space. Most people never discover that space exists. They live reactively. Something happens, and they respond immediately, automatically, based on conditioning, emotion, fear, or habit. They are, in the truest sense, out of control. Life happens to them, and they react. They are passengers. SEALs are trained to locate and widen that space, to insert conscious choice between stimulus and response, to ask in the moment, is my reaction right now serving my mission, or is it serving my fear? This is the deepest principle of mental toughness there is, and it has roots across every major tradition of human wisdom, from Stoicism to Buddhism to Viktor Frankl to modern performance psychology. The power of the human being is not in being emotionless. It is in having the discipline to choose which emotions you act on and which ones you observe. In a combat scenario, a SEAL who receives bad news, a teammate down, a mission compromised, a vehicle destroyed, cannot afford to spend 60 seconds being overwhelmed. They feel it, they register it, and then they choose their next move. Not because they don't care, because the mission requires them to be the one who keeps moving. You face your own version of this every single day. The deal that falls through, the person who betrays your trust, the diagnosis, the loss, the failure, the setback that you did not see coming. You cannot control any of those events. They are outside your jurisdiction. But your response is entirely yours. It is the one thing no circumstance, no person, no catastrophe can ever take from you. And when you understand that, when you really understand that in your bones, you become unstoppable. Not because nothing can hurt you, not because life will suddenly be fair, but because you've claimed sovereignty over the only territory that actually matters, what you do next. So there they are, 5 mindset secrets of the most elite warriors on the planet. Build your cookie jar. Honor the 40% rule. Embrace the suck. Compartmentalize your time horizon. And claim your responsibility. None of these are magic. None of them are easy. They are all, in the truest sense, work. Daily, unglamorous, relentless mental work. The same kind of work that forges a SEAL through 6 months of hell. And the same kind of work that separates the people who build extraordinary lives from the people who spend their lives wishing things were different. The question was never whether you could handle hard things. You already have. The question is whether you're going to be intentional about it. Whether you're going to build these tools deliberately or keep stumbling through by accident. You already have everything you need. The only thing missing is a decision. Make it